Okay, so this is going to be the next author interview in my Instagram Live author interview series. This time with J.M. Sullivan, who I am so excited to have on the series today because she is the co-host and co-creator of the Author Confessions chat and hashtag Author Confessions. Hello, Jessica and JM. Hi. Alrighty, and so I am going to, we have our questions here, and we're going to go live with JM. I'm really excited about the interview. Hi.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Lovely. I'm so excited to interview you today.
Yeah, I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Absolutely. So when we're completing the interview, I'm going to end up recording it, and it's going to be posted on my YouTube channel where it will remain.
Fancy.
Yay! Wonderful. Are you having a nice day?
Yeah, it's been a bit busy for a day off, but good.
Good. Great. Cool. I'm glad. And so, you are the the co-creator of the Author Confessions chat, which I love so much. It is so popular, so wonderful.
Yeah, it's wonderful. We have hands down the best community on Twitter and just the best people. So we're very lucky.
Oh my gosh, it's so fantastic. I love participating in the monthly calendars too. Oh, I've been trying to I put together my new book release and everything, and I gotta start participating in the next month, especially because I missed this month, or I haven't gone to been able to start it yet. But next month I'm all in again.
Yes, you're welcome anytime. And I mean, people come in at the beginning of the month, people come in the middle of the month. Sometimes your host comes in just randomly as well. So it's all good. We know life and writing and things get busy. So we're just glad to have you whenever you can be there.
Thank you so much. Thank you. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and ask the first question. What did you want to be as a child, and was it an author?
An author was definitely on there. I always loved telling stories and reading stories, but I also wanted to be lots of different things. Probably the thing I actually wanted to be the most was a veterinarian, because I wanted to take care of the doggies and the kittens and stuff. And then my aunt actually got me an internship with a veterinarian over the summer, and it was lovely, and I loved it. I thought every part of it was great until this little dachshund was brought in, and his name was Toby, and I absolutely fell in love with him. And then the veterinarian was like, well, he's getting put down today. And I was like, oh,
Oh my
it was
goodness.
the worst thing. I
Oh,
was traumatized.
what happened? Oh my goodness. So I love
Yeah.
animals too. I've always wanted two Great Danes on a farm one day.
Yes, Great Danes are the best. I actually, for the longest time, I had, he was a lab Great Dane mix. And so he was just this huge, like, black dog, and his name was Boomer. And he was just the goodest boy. Like, he was the best. He got really old, though. And so he recently passed away. It was very sad. But Great Danes are the best.
I hear they're like small dogs in a big dog's body.
Yes, they think that they're lap dogs. It's not true, but that doesn't stop them from trying.
Yeah. So what does a day in the life of J.M. Sullivan look like?
Oh gosh. Wild. So there's lots of different things. I don't think any one day has ever been the same. But some consistencies are my kids are always there, and we always, figure out getting them to school and, playing around and having fun. I'm always in constant contact with Jessica, Jessica Julian, the co-host of Author Confessions, and my bestie. We just always we've met each other like once in real life, but we talk to each other. I probably talk to her more every day than I talk to my husband, I'll be honest with you. So we are always talking. I work several jobs, so I'm busy. So if I'm not writing, I'm usually doing my job as a baker, or I do contract work, freelance writing as well. So my computer is kind of a permanent attachment to myself. Much to my husband's chagrin. But other than that, if I have free time, I like to go running or watching scary movies and stuff like that. That's always fun. My kids and I love music, and so we'll put on like random songs on our Alexa. My daughter and I will sing The Greatest Showman. It's quite fun. We're terrible, but that does.
Oh, lovely. I
Sorry,
love
just ring.
that's okay. I the last interview I had was with Jody Lynn Jork, and we were talking about how much we loved the Silence of the Lambs. That's one of my
Yes.
favorites. Yes. And I listen to music a lot when I'm trying to get inspired to write. If I have like writer's block or something, I have whole playlists dedicated to certain stories, certain scenes, certain characters.
Yeah, it's so important.
And I do freelance. I don't do freelance writing, but I do freelance. I am a book trailer creator, so I'm
Very cool.
attached to my phone too.
Yeah, it's bad. And now recently, my iPhone has this thing called screen time. Like, it's like your screen time use. The first time it popped up, I was like, oh my gosh, like it was really bad.
Was it really that much?
It was pretty high. I was like, wow, I really need to like set some boundaries with this because it was pretty high. So since that has been good though, because I've been more mindful about, engaging and not being so like tethered to my emails and stuff. Like, even though it's important, really setting kind of those clear work-life balance like boundaries, which can be really hard sometimes, but it's really important.
Yes, indeed. And you have the same thing happens to me all the time. I on my phone, try to make connections, and because I'm preparing to do a book release myself for a YA thriller. Yes, yes, it comes out fall 2020.
That's so soon.
Yes, and I'm doing it self-published so far, but I'm also pursuing maybe indie or hybrid publishing as well. So I'm trying to put out feelers out there for some independent publishing companies and stuff. It's called The Beckwith Brothers, and it's set in the 1990s. So
I love the 90s. My daughter loves the 90s because I love the 90s. She's basically the coolest person I know. But there was one day that she was playing with her friends, and she was very interested in my love for the 90s. And so she'd asked me several times, and I had explained to her, obviously, the importance of the Backstreet Boys and Britney Spears and all of these things. And then she was playing with her friends, and they're like, we're in a time machine. Where should we go? And she's like, to the 90s.
That's the place, it's the time to be in.
It was. I was very proud.
It was awesome. I love incorporating the nostalgia in the story.
Yeah.
So cool. So what do you use to inspire yourself if you have writer's block?
Oh, writer's block is the worst. So it kind of depends. A lot of times I'll message Jessica and I'll whine at her a little bit, and then she usually puts my butt in gear pretty quick, which is nice. So having an accountability partner is huge. But like if I'm getting just really stuck, sometimes just getting up and moving around, going for a run or like taking a quick shower sometimes will help. Sometimes it's just a matter of like switching up the playlist and getting like the right music going. So, but not every case of writer's block is the same, unfortunately.
That's true, because sometimes you can have different sources, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yes, in life. So would you say coffee or tea?
Coffee, 100%.
Oh, yeah. I make vanilla macchiato every morning, and then throughout the day I might have a second one or an Americano. At night I have hot tea.
Nice. Very good. Yeah, I love coffee. Oh my gosh, it's so good. It's like the only thing that keeps me alive some days.
I know, right? It's like my energy is gone without it. Just gone. Non-existent even. So what is the best TV or movie adaptation in your opinion?
Ooh. The best one, I'm like, I know all the ones that I like have problems with. I, I love the Harry Potters. I feel like for the most part they did a really good job with that, and I think it's because they knew that they had to stick to the story, or they'd have a lot of fans that were really upset. So that one was really good. I'll be honest, I've not watched like a proper show in a really long time because I've just got too much to do. So I'm like, when I do watch TV, I watch trash TV. Like I'm currently in love with The Bachelor. Like that's it's my guilty pleasure right now, and I'm here for it. So
I'm into I don't watch I think that there's a lot of TV shows that just aren't, to me sometimes TV shows don't capture me all the time, like maybe movies or books could. But right now I like The Prodigal Son a lot.
yes.
Oh yes. Yes,
it's so good. It's so good.
Yes, it is. And I love the father-son dynamic and the dark humor they have in it. Oh my gosh, it's like the perfect combination.
It is. It is a really good one. Like, and so I found that one, and I love that one. That one's very good.
Yes, it is. It's lovely. I know I have another favorite that I'm interested right now in, but I forget the name of it. I know that one of my older favorites was, of course, Breaking Bad, and then you had I am blanking on my other favorite shows. Oh, the Euphoria.
Oh, I've not seen that one.
It's so good.
I'll have to check it out.
So good. It's a young adult thing. It has a lot of drama in it, but it's super visuals even. I love it. So would you like to tell us what your next release is about?
So I have 2 upcoming releases as soon as I get my life together. I've got the 3rd and final book in my Alice, the Wanderland Chronicles series, Grey Queen, which is going to be really fun. I'm super excited about it. So that'll finish off the Wanderland Chronicles. And then I also have my final book coming up for my 2nd Star book, which is my Peter Pan series, the Neverland Transmissions. And the working title for that, it's not been 100% finalized, but I'm teasing the idea of the title being Neverbound. So.
Oh, nice. Very nice. I like that. I think it's wonderful how you do a lot of you do retellings, and then also these like really I put in when I was posting about this on Instagram, I called it fantastical fantasy story. In the write-up of our telling people about our interview. And I think that it's like fantastical fantasy style. It's like so whimsical. I love that.
Oh, well, thanks.
That's wonderful. Now, when you plan your books, do you plan them in advance or do you let them develop as you write?
I'm kind of a mixture of the two, and I know like people are like, you have to be a plotter or you have to be a pantser, and I am like, I think the term is planter, so that's me. I kind of get the idea, and then like what I do normally is I get the idea and I write like this. It's not really a blurb, but it's like a summary where I'm like, okay, this is what's going to happen in the story, and it's got kind of like the big ideas, and then from there I take that like little paragraph and I make my outline where I say, okay, this is my beginning, this is my middle, this is my end, and I kind of have like the big points of what's going to happen in each part. And then from there, that's kind of when I start drafting, and so as long as like it follows that general path, I'm pretty happy. I mean, sometimes my characters decide that they don't like the fate that I have planned for them, and I have to change things up a little bit, but for the most part, that's what I try and do.
They do kind of choose their course after you get to know them after a while. They
do.
They have to direct the stories themselves. And I think that's almost like kind of a manifestation of our a little bit like what's inside of us even. Like I think parts of us identify with certain parts of our characters, and then that's what kind of makes them run away with the in the story.
Yeah, I agree.
That's so cool. That's very cool. And I like I do outlines myself, and I like to even like put chapter outline, like chapter lists, and put a little bit of description what's going in each chapter. And then I like knowing the end so I can foreshadow it throughout, because I like foreshadowing.
Yeah, that's really good. I feel like I sometimes have foreshadowing, but a lot of times I'm like, I just write a line. I'm like, oh, hey, that's kind of sneaky. But like, it's definitely not my forte. It's something I need to work on.
Well, that's cool. It's a wonderful series, even without it. Absolutely. So what does the act of writing itself mean to you?
Ugh, lots of headbanging. Well, it kind of depends. I lots of coffee. Like we've talked about this, coffee is important. But really, I just have to kind of sit down. And I do a lot of like really small goals. Like I have friends who can bang out a book in like 9 days, and I will forever be jealous of them
Yeah,
forever. Because I am just not a very fast writer.
me either.
No, it's and like if I really push myself, I can get like 1,500 words a day, but that's like pushing, and that is I have to have like a pretty good amount of time to kind of dedicate to it. Um, so for me, it like being able to break it up and like I set little goals for myself. Sometimes it's like, okay, you're just gonna write 100 words in 10 minutes. Like you can do 100 words in 10 minutes. And then
Yeah.
usually once that happens, I can kind of go a little bit faster or get my momentum. But sometimes just sitting down and opening the dang computer is the hardest part.
Yes, that's true. Especially with distractions, and then if you don't feel exactly like you're like it's flowing out, even like you can have an idea of what you want to do, it's just not really coming to you.
Yeah.
And then sometimes when I have to write dialogue, even that's what that can put a little bit of slow me down a little bit when I'm writing. For some reason, writing dialogue makes me slow down. I can write, the scene, the visual, and then when it gets to people talking, I'm like, oh, I lost myself. Lost
Oh
myself.
no.
And I have this really bad habit of, I don't know why, but I feel like writing late at night is when it flows the best for me. But then it's like you don't want to be up at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning writing, but that's almost when it works the best for me. And I almost seek that out sometimes to go on ahead and just write like late into the night. And that's when I've gotten most of my writing done, unfortunately.
That's wild. See, I'm just the opposite. I find that I do better if I get it done earlier in the morning. And if I have to, like late at night, I can. But usually by the time I get to the end of like the day, I'm like done.
Yeah, I get the second wave, and then I'm like, if I sit and I just let sit in my room for a while in the quiet, I'm like, oh, and then it starts coming to me, and before I know it, it's 4 o'clock in the morning.
Oh my goodness. I'm jealous.
Jealous of you. I wish I could work in the daytime and feel inspired like that. It's like my brain opens up when the sun goes down.
You're a night owl.
Yes, exactly. So what has been the hardest thing about publishing to you, and also what has been the most fun?
Um, for me, for publishing, I just feel like promotion and self-promotion is really hard, and I feel like a lot of people, myself included, like the hardest part of it is I feel really awkward, like, hey, buy my book, hey, this is my book. Like it just feels like even if it comes up like naturally in the conversation, sometimes it still feels like really awkward, like you're being braggy or whatever. And I've had people tell me, and I've had to like tell myself, no, you have to advocate for your work. Like if you don't advocate for yourself, nobody else is going to. And so it doesn't, unfortunately, like knowing that doesn't make it any easier or any less like cringy. So you just have to kind of like put yourself out there and be really willing to like step outside your comfort zone.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I create a lot of media material for my books, and because I used to create it for well, I still create it, freelance for other people too, the book trailers. But I create book trailers for my own story as well. And so that's something that I make sure to do to create that for myself to use as a marketing tool, and a lot of book aesthetics. I create those now, and I try to use very creative ways to get people to pique people's eyes, basically, to pique the interest through visuals and lots of colors and stuff like that. Really intrigue them. I think the hardest part for me has been if I don't see the traction I want to see, I start doubting myself, and then I start pressuring myself to put more material out. And I think that's probably been the hardest thing for me. And I'm still really early on. I'm still in before pre-launch, basically. Well, kind of pre-launch. And that's been the hardest thing for me.
Yeah, it is hard. It's like there's a lot that like before like when you're like, oh, I want to write a book, like it sounds awesome and it totally is. Like it's amazing and it's a great thing. But there's a lot that like when you actually get to the publishing part that you're like, huh, I didn't think I was gonna have to do that.
Yeah, I think I'm signing up for the distribution sources like Book Depository and Kobo and Amazon Kindle right now. I'm doing all the logistics for that, and that's been very intimidating for me. Like the creative stuff is where I can excel, but the logistics is like, oh my goodness, I gotta really pay attention to these little details. That's something that's coming up now that I'm pursuing. That's got me a little stumped sometimes. But I have a lot of information that I've collected. I was just telling another author in the author interview I was doing that I have over 17,000 screen captures in my phone of details about how other people have published their books. Self-published, hybrid, traditional published, all the details from beginning to end. So I can basically copy everybody's process and try to recreate it for myself to know every little detail I can to basically use the information to guide me. And I'm thinking about putting it together into like a blueprint or something I could share with other authors. So I have so much information just for me, and even me looking at it is intimidating.
Yeah, that's a lot. You've done your research, girl.
Yeah, I've been a book blogger for about 3 years now, and only recently did I realize, I can use my community, use my place in the community to use this as, this is my audience for my story. Yeah. I was like, I gotta figure out how to organize all these plans. Yeah.
Got it. You got it.
Thank you. I'm trying. What has been the most fun for you, though, in publishing?
I love like the pre-distribution, like getting ready, like when you're like, gosh, in the production, that's the word I wanted, that one. I love the production part of the book, like once the draft has been set in and then like revisions and editing are rough, but I love like when you work with your editors and you work with your not copywriters, your copy editors, and they point out like little lines. They're like, oh, this line is great for promotion, or this, that, or the other. Or like when you get to talk to like the people that are working on your book and your advocates for your book, and that excitement. And then when you get to like design your cover, and when you get to do like all the fun things like the book trailers and the blurb on the back and like the formatting on the inside, like that's just the best part, like seeing like your words and your story like really actually come to life. I just get so excited.
That is exciting. That's so fun. It's like everything that's in your head comes together in something that manifests as something visual that you can see and touch and feel and share with people. That is cool.
Yeah.
Do you have stories on the back burner that you're interested in?
I have lots of stories. So I have one story that I've been working on. It's my super secret project, and I've been working on it for about 2 years now because like I just kind of go into it as I can. And so it's crawling along. I'm really excited about it. It's a fairy tale retelling, but it's in a different genre than I've explored already. So it's kind of new and fun. I recently actually just had a new project kind of pop into my head, and so I'm messing with that a little bit as well. So I have outside of Alice and Peter, I have at least 3 more like really solid stories that I need to just put on paper.
Oh, very cool. We all look forward to it.
Aw, you're so sweet.
Thank you. I love that. So what advice would you give to budding authors?
don't compare yourself to other people. Like, it can be really intimidating and it can be really easy. And I fall into that all the time. Like I said, I have a friend. She's one of my best friends. Her name is J.M. Robinson. She's wonderful. She's just absolutely lovely. And she's got some amazing like twists on retellings. Like, if you are a retelling fan, definitely check out her work because her ideas and her twists are just the coolest. But she writes, and she has so many books, and she writes so fast. Like, she actually just wrote, and she's releasing it very soon. It's a Mulan dragon shifter retelling. She wrote it in 9 days, like legitimately 9 days, this entire book. And and so she's telling me, and she's talking to me about it, and she's telling me about her project, and like I'm super excited for her, and I'm thrilled for her. And but also in the back of me, I'm like, just like, I wish I could write a book in 9 days. Like, heck, I'd go for a book in 30 days. Like, so, and I mean, and I adore her and I love her, but it really is like, it's just so easy to like compare yourself to others and like the things that you think you should be doing or the things that you think would make you better. But then there's other parts of your writing style that's different. And I've learned that from my writing style, like taking time and going slower really kind of helps me like in the long run, because my story, I feel like when it comes out, it's been really like deliberate and very intentional. Not saying that her work isn't at all, but I know that if I was to just put words on a page in 9 days, my stories would be really affected by it.
Yeah.
So you have to know yourself, and you have to know your writing style, and you have to know that it's okay as long as you're getting your story out there. It doesn't matter if your best friend is writing a story in 9 days, or if, you know, your other best friend just got signed by your dream agent. Like, celebrate their victories with them, celebrate their successes with them, and know that yours are coming too.
Yes, I think that's great advice, to know that yours are coming too, especially. And yeah, that's wonderful, to especially so that budding writers can have their own confidence in their own work and in their own writing styles.
Yes, yes. So, and actually, I'm going to take a minute and throw up my bestie, Jessica Julian, because her new book is coming out very soon. She just got signed. It's releasing July 7th. And so, like, the other thing I would say is, like, find your people and find the people who, like, speak to your heart and speak to your stories and are willing to, like, encourage you. Like, she and I, like I said, we're in constant communication, whether it's for Author Confession or for our books. We, like, when Peter was coming out, there was a panic moment where I was like, holy crap, they want this book. My deadline is like here and I need to have this, but I'm not sure about this. Like, she like pulled like super late night sessions to like help me go over it. And we've recently been doing the same thing with her story. And it's not like one of those things where it's like, well, she did this for me, so I'm expected to do the same. But it's just like, we genuinely like care about each other and our work, like, and I'm so excited for her project. Like, it's so good, and I can't wait for you guys all to have it and to see it. But like, really finding, like, whether it's a group of people, like a writing group in your location, or just like a person you message every day on like Facebook, like, find that person or those people, because they are really, really important to your success and also maintaining your sanity.
Support community.
Yes, it's very important.
Jessica and I, we're supposed to have interviews eventually too.
Yeah.
Closer to the release in July.
Yes, yes.
I'm so excited too. I'm so excited. So excited for the release, and so happy to be able to have both of you on this interview series, because I enjoy this so much.
You're just the sweetest.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. I love your all story though. The support, the energy, the excitement. I love all of that.
We're a hot mess, let me tell you, behind the scenes. There's lots of energy, but there's lots of dysfunction as well.
That's how publishing industry is, though.
It's true.
So, when you were first getting started, which form of publishing did first appeal to you, or was you were first interested in? Self-publishing, hybrid, indie, or traditional?
I think for most people who are new, the only thing that they're really like is traditional, because that's what you hear about, is like the big five and all these big companies that have their books out in like Barnes and Noble and whatever. And so I'm like, yeah, that's the only way to go. And then I realized, like, when I started actually like looking into the publishing world, that there are actually other options out there, and like that they're viable options. I did look into self-publishing. I know myself and knowing that I'm not very good at like marketing and stuff like that, like that's not the route for me, I don't think. But it's a wonderful route. My friend, like I said, Katie, KM, excuse me, she does self-publishing and she does an amazing job with it and she does really well. But I think knowing myself, I wanted a little bit more help and support. So traditional, I think maybe one day if I was able to get into like a big five, that would be amazing. And I definitely wouldn't say no. But I've also found a lot of success and really great like support from like smaller presses, like because they have the time and they're really dedicated and invested in like your work and your project. So you know that they're really like they're there for you, which is really nice.
That's good. So it's like you know that you have allies.
Yeah.
In your smaller publishing company, but the big one, it's almost like it has stars around it, and you feel like almost like even it opens you up to opportunities like getting movie deals to turn your books into movies. That's pretty cool. I love with indie and hybrid and self-publishing that you get to keep more of your rights to your stories,
Mm-hmm.
but with the small publishing, it is like it feels more like it's not as up the same scale, same magnitude as the big five, but it's like anything. I guess you can make it, right?
Yeah.
Anything is possible, I guess, with the right marketing and the right team.
Yeah, there's lots of options, and I think as long as you're willing to put in like the work for it and you know like what you want, like you're gonna get it.
Yes, whatever your goals are. And your favorite books right now?
And so my favorite book of all time will always and forever be Ella Enchanted by Gail Carson Levine. It's a Cinderella retelling.
Oh,
It's actually a middle grade, and I read it when I was really little, and that's what actually made me fall in love with retellings. So that will always be my favorite. The Cinder series by Marissa Meyer is also a fantastic series. Well, it's the Lunar Chronicles series. I call it the Cinder series because that's what the first book is. And also the main character. That's kind of how I do it. Obviously, like my stories are the Neverland transmissions and the Wanderland Chronicles. But like when I talk to anybody, I'm like Alice and Peter. It's just way easier. So, Cinder is wonderful. If you're into sci-fi, the Nixia Triad by Scott Reinken is amazing. It's so good. And another really great sci-fi read, that's what I'm super into, obviously, that's really unique as well, is the Illuminae series by Jay Kristoff and Amy Kaufman. It's the storyline's incredible, but the way that they tell it is different than any other story. Like it's like they've compiled like this dossier. So they tell this story in like reports and files, and like it's so good. It's so
neat.
good. It's so good.
That is so interesting. That reminds me of that book, Flowers for Algernon. The way that it's told, have you read it before?
I've not.
So it's told in progress reports of a man who he's a lower IQ, and so he is written in the progress reports that he has to write as part of a science experiment that he agrees to participate in, which is meant to make him into a genius. And so he has the same procedure that his lab rat, who they allow him to keep as a friend, Algernon. He has the same procedure that this lab rat got. So you get the progress report. The whole book is progress reports, him basically chronicling his experience from a person who is mentally handicapped into a world famous genius. But it starts to go badly at the end. Algernon unfortunately passes away, and so does the man. It has a sad ending. But it's a classic story. They made 2 movies off of it once, but they haven't redone it in a really long time. But that book is told in the chronicling of his progress reports, his diary. And it's kind of like that, huh?
Yeah, that's really cool. I'll have to check it out. It sounds good.
Indeed, that was one of my favorites when I was younger. I had to read it in I think in high school or something, and now I really like the Jack Heath. He's an Australian author. He wrote this. He wrote Hangman and the sequel Just One Bite. It's the Timothy Blake trilogy. Oh, it is so good. It's like a mixture of Hannibal and Dexter.
Ooh.
FBI crime thriller thing. It has a lot of dark humor. It's amazing.
Dark humor is the best humor.
Yes. So basically, if you can share, what are your ultimate publishing goals? This is the second to last question.
I mean, I would love to be able to just really all I want to do is I want to sell enough books and have enough people like read my work that one day I could just write. And then, because then the more I can just write, the more books I can make for you all. Like, I just want to give you all books, that's all. But unfortunately, life has this terrible tendency of getting in the way. So I guess like just like big goals would be to be able to just write and have my writing sustain itself, because that would be amazing. But honestly, like just publishing my books I've accomplished so many life goals. Like I published a book like I never thought like that would be something I would do. Like it was always something like a pipe dream that I wanted to do, and then when it actually happened, it's like, oh my gosh, like I did this thing, like it's huge. And then like having people actually read my book, like, oh, my book, my book, my Alice, not the other, like like that's amazing. So having people like read my book, and like when people say they love it, like that's even like just mind boggling. I'm like, oh, you read my book, cool. Oh, you liked my book, what? Like that's nuts. So like those are huge things, and like it's crazy because it never gets old. Like when somebody tells you like that they like your book, you're like, oh my gosh, like I don't know, maybe it's like for people who are like huge traditionally published authors, it loses after a while. But for me, I still get just as giddy as like the first time it happened.
I haven't even done my, I haven't even done ARCs or anything yet, but I have 2 beta readers right now, and I've gotten responses from them liking things, and that there, oh my God, that like that whole week, and I'm still giddy from it. That is super, super exciting.
It is. It's so exciting. It's like, what? It's like surreal almost.
Yes. Well, we love your writing, and we've enjoyed this interview with you. Let us know how we can find J.M. Sullivan.
I'm on all the things. You can find me on social media at J.M. Sullivan Books. So I'm on Twitter a lot. I have a Facebook. I have a Snapchat. I probably should check into it. So if you've messaged me on Snapchat and I've not gotten back to you, that's why. But Twitter is definitely a great place to reach me. I've got a website. Instagram, obviously.
I'm putting your information in the comments right now, so that when this video goes up,
yay!
That's perfect. All right, J.M. Sullivan Books on Twitter and on Instagram. And do you have a release date for your next release?
I don't have a firm date, but I hear rumors that we're looking at maybe an October or November release for Alice.
Ooh, fantastic. That's so fun. Okay, so fall.
Yes.
Fall 2020, me too.
Yay! It's a good time.
Fall 2020 release, people.
That's so exciting. I'm so excited for you, and I'm so excited for your first book. It's going to be so huge.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I'll be posting all about it.
As you should. Self-promote yourself, and don't feel bad about it.
Yes, indeed. Yes, and don't compare myself to have confidence in my own work.
You got it.
Yes. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for inviting me. It was a ton of fun.
Thank you. It really was. I always enjoy these. These are fantastic. Thank you. Have a great day and talk soon. Oh, and when I post it on YouTube, I'll send you the link.
Thank you. I can't wait to see.
Yeah, me too.
Bye.